When a woman steps into a man's arms, something far deeper than a hug begins. Her mind may be thinking polite things, but her body is listening for something else. It is listening for safety. It is listening for confidence. It is listening for desire that feels calm, not desperate. Because every woman knows deep in her nervous system that the way a man holds her reveals how he will treat her when no one is watching. Some hugs feel empty, some feel safe, and some feel dangerously good. This video is about that third kind of hug, the kind that makes her body soften, the kind that makes her chest feel warm, the kind that stays with her long after you let go. Not because you took something from her, but because you made her feel something inside herself. Now, listen carefully. When your arms move around her, everything becomes quiet. The outside world fades, and all that remains is the space between two bodies that are close enough to feel each other breathe. This is where attraction is born, not in words, not in flirting, but in the way her nervous system reacts to being held by you. A woman does not decide with logic whether she feels chemistry. Her body decides first, her breath changes, her muscles soften, her skin becomes more sensitive, her awareness pulls inward, and all of that happens inside a hug. Most men think a hug is just a hug, but to her, a hug is a test of how grounded you are, a test of how present you are, a test of whether being close to you feels calming or slightly thrilling, because the kind of closeness that feels good always carries a hint of heat, not wild, not explosive, but slow, deep, the kind of warmth that spreads from her chest down into her belly without her even knowing why. That warmth comes from how you hold her. When your arms wrap around her, your body speaks. If your arms are stiff, if your hands are tense, if your chest pushes forward, her body hears urgency. Urgency feels unsafe. Unsafe kills desire. But when your arms are relaxed, when your hands are warm, when your body is still, her nervous system begins to open. And when a woman opens, her body becomes sensitive to your breath, to your warmth, to the way your chest presses lightly against hers. Not hard, not demanding, just there. That quiet contact is deeply intimate. It tells her that you are not afraid of closeness. And a man who is not afraid of closeness is dangerous in the best way, because he does not rush, he does not grab, he does not beg, he simply lets her feel him. And being felt is what creates desire. Your hand on the middle of her back should feel steady, not gripping, not sliding, just holding. That part of her body is connected to trust. When your palm rests there, her body relaxes. In a way she does not consciously control. Her shoulders drop, her chest opens, her breathing deepens. And when her chest opens, her heart opens. And when her heart opens, so does her desire. Because emotional intimacy is what makes physical closeness start to feel erotic, not explicit, not dirty, but warm, slow, and quietly exciting. When you stay still in the hug, you allow her to feel you, your strength, your calm, your presence. Stillness says, I am not chasing you. And not being chased is what allows her to lean in. That leaning, even if it is subtle, is her body saying yes. She might not move much, she might just soften, but that softness is her nervous system melting into you, and that melt feels incredibly good. The hug should last just long enough for her body to forget that it is supposed to end. One slow breath, then another. In that space, her mind goes quiet and her body starts to feel warm, held, a little light, a little floaty, a little turned on by the closeness. Not because you did anything obvious, but because you did not do anything desperate. Desire grows in restraint. When you do not move your hands, when you do not tighten your arms, when you do not try to take more, her body relaxes into wanting. That is the paradox. The less you try to pull her in, the more her body wants to stay, because she feels free, and freedom makes desire bloom. When the hug finally ends, she feels slightly different. Not dramatic, not obvious, just warmer, softer, more aware of you. That feeling lingers in her chest, in her stomach, in the quiet spaces of her mind. That is where attraction lives. And this is only the beginning. When she steps back from the hug, something in her does not want to let go. Not her arms, but her body, because a part of her is still inside that moment, still wrapped in the warmth, still floating in the feeling of being held by someone who was not trying to rush her or take from her or prove anything. That quiet hunger, that soft ache in her chest is what real attraction feels like. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is subtle, but it stays. A woman does not crave a man because he touched her skin. She craves him because of how her body felt when she was close to him. Warm, open, soft, alive. That is what the right hug does. It lowers her guard without her even realizing it, because the nervous system does not respond to words, it responds to sensation. When your arms were around her, her body felt steady. When your chest was close to hers, her breath slowed. When your hand rested calmly, Against the center of her back, her heart felt supported. And when the heart feels supported, desire begins to breathe. That desire is not urgent. It is slow. It is curious. It feels like a gentle pull, drawing her back toward you without her knowing why. Later, when she is alone, that memory returns. Not the image of the hug, but the feeling of it, the warmth, the safety, the quiet spark in her belly. That is the kind of desire that grows, not explosive, not frantic, deep, low, and intoxicating, because it feels like something she wants to lean into. This is why a man who can hold a woman without needing her is so powerful. He gives her space to feel herself, and when she feels herself in his arms, she begins to associate him with pleasure. Not sexual pleasure in a crude way, but emotional pleasure that feels rich and warm and slightly dangerous, because it feels good when you do not rush her, when you do not grip her, when you simply stay present. Her body responds, it leans, it softens, it opens. That opening is where intimacy, and intimacy, when it is calm and unforced, it feels incredibly sensual. Not because of what you are doing, but because of what you are allowing. A woman wants to feel that she can surrender a little without losing control. And the right hug gives her that feeling. It lets her relax into you without being taken. That balancer, that subtle tension between closeness and freedom is what makes her want more, not necessarily more touch, more of you. More of that feeling of being held by someone who feels grounded, who feels present, who feels safe and exciting at the same time. When a hug does this, it changes the way she looks at you, not in a loud way, in a quiet one, a softer gaze, a slower smile, a slight pause before she steps away. Her body is still with you, and that is how attraction begins. When she walks away from that hug, there is a soft echo inside her, not a memory of your arms, but a memory of how her body felt when it was close to you. Warm, calm, open. A little restless in a way that feels good. That restlessness is desire beginning to wake up. It is not loud, it is not urgent, it is subtle, like a low heat under the skin. Because her nervous system remembers what it felt like to be held by someone who was steady, someone who was present, someone who did not rush. And when a woman feels that kind of presence, something deep inside her responds. It is the part of her that wants to relax, the part of her that wants to lean, the part of her that wants to be close without having to protect herself. That feeling is incredibly sensual, not because it is explicit, but because it is safe enough to let pleasure exist. When a man holds her this way, she does not feel watched. She does not feel judged. She does not feel taken. She feels felt, and being felt is deeply erotic to the nervous system because it means I can be here just as I am, and I am welcome. That sense of being welcome is what allows her body to start to want. Not consciously, not logically, but physically her breathing changes. Her chest feels warmer. Her stomach feels softer. Her thoughts slow down. That slowing is what allows desire to spread, because desire needs space. It needs quiet. It needs safety. And when you gave her that inside the hug, her body learned something. It learned that being close to you feels good. So later, even if she cannot explain why she feels drawn, she might think of you when she is alone, not in a loud way, but in a soft, lingering way. The warmth comes back, the memory of being held without being pressured. That is what makes her curious. Curiosity is the beginning of wanting. And wanting grows when it feels safe to want. This is why a hug can change attraction, not because of where you touched, but because of how you were. Calm, present, unrushed, comfortable with closeness. That emotional state is contagious. Her body absorbs it. And when her body feels calm and warm and gently stimulated by being close to you, it begins to associate you with pleasure. That association is powerful. It is the same way we begin to crave music or a familiar scent or a voice that makes us feel relaxed. Your presence becomes something her body enjoys. And when the body enjoys something, it wants more. Not desperately, not urgently, softly, quietly, in a way that feels intimate. When a woman feels that quiet pull after a hug, it is not because of what you did. It is because of what her body experienced. It experienced a moment where it did not have to be on guard, a moment where it did not have to perform, a moment where it could simply exist inside warmth and closeness. That kind of experience leaves a trace. Later, when she thinks of you, her body remembers that trace before her mind does. It remembers the way her chest felt open, the way her breathing slowed, the way her muscles softened when you held her, and that memory feels good, so good that it quietly creates a longing. Not a desperate longing, a gentle one, like wanting to step back into a warm room after being in the cold. This is how attraction deepens, not through chasing, not through pressure, but through emotional resonance. When your arms were around her, you were not trying to impress her. You were not trying to take something from her. You were simply there. That presence is rare. And rarity is what makes something feel special. When a woman feels special in your arms, her body opens to you, not in an obvious way, in a subtle way that feels almost secret. Her breath becomes deeper, her chest feels warmer, her belly feels softer. That softness is where desire lives. Desire is not sharp, it is not aggressive. It is slow and warm and spreading, like a quiet flame that does not need to be fed. It just needs space. The hug gave her that space. It let her feel herself. It let her feel you. And that connection is what makes her want to be close again. When she sees you next, she may not even remember why she feels drawn. She just knows she does. Her body is guiding her because it remembers what it felt like to be held in a way that was calm, grounded, and quietly intimate. And that feeling is intoxicating in the most natural way. It does not overwhelm her. It invites her. That invitation is what makes attraction grow. When that quiet warmth settles in her chest after a hug, it starts to shape the way she feels about you. Not in a way she has to think about, in a way she simply notices, a soft pull, a gentle curiosity, a feeling that being close to you felt pleasant, easy, and strangely comforting. That comfort is what allows a woman to feel something a little deeper, because when the nervous system relaxes, sensation becomes richer, the air feels warmer, her skin feels more alive. Her awareness becomes softer, and when she thinks of you, that same warmth quietly returns. That is the beginning of attraction that lasts. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is subtle and steady. The kind of wanting that grows slowly because it feels safe to want. When you hold a woman in a way that is calm and present, you give her permission to enjoy being close. And enjoying closeness is where intimacy is born. That intimacy does not rush, it lingers. It sits in her body like a soft glow, and that glow is what draws her back to you, because she wants to feel it again. Her body wants that glow again, that slow, quiet warmth that spread through her when your arms were around her. It is not a craving that feels sharp, it is a craving that feels soft. Like wanting to lean back into something that made her feel held and alive at the same time. That is the kind of wanting that lingers. Because when a woman feels emotionally safe, her senses open. Her skin becomes more aware, her breathing becomes deeper, her body becomes more responsive to touch, to warmth, to closeness. And when she remembers you, she remembers how her body felt in that moment, relaxed, open, gently awake. That memory does not stay in her head, it settles into her body, and bodies remember what feels good, not in words, but in sensations, a softness in the chest, a warmth in the belly, a slight pull toward you that she does not need to explain. That pull is desire growing quietly, because desire does not always rush forward. Sometimes it slowly leans in, and when she leans in emotionally, she becomes more curious, more attentive, more aware of you. She may notice the way you stand, the way you speak, the way your presence makes her feel calm. And calm is what allows intimacy to feel sweet instead of dangerous. That sweetness is what makes closeness start to feel a little intoxicating, a little warm, a little inviting. And all of it began with a simple hug that allowed her body to relax and feel. That is how attraction truly changes, not by force, not by pressure, but by giving her nervous system a moment of warmth that it wants to return to. That is the power of the right kind of closeness. Oh, and that warmth keeps unfolding inside her. It doesn't rush, it doesn't demand, it simply stays. Long after the hug is over, her body remembers how it felt to be held by you, not tightly, not desperately, but with a quiet steadiness that made her feel both safe and gently alive. That combination is rare, and rarity makes something feel precious. When a woman feels precious in your presence, her attention shifts. She becomes more aware of you, more tuned to the sound of your voice, more sensitive to the way your energy moves near her. She might not even realize what is happening. She just knows that being close to you feels good. That feeling grows. It turns into curiosity. Curiosity turns into wanting. Wanting turns into a soft pull toward you that feels natural and warm. This is how attraction changes, not in a flash, but in a slow, steady deepening. A hug, when it is calm and present, tells us something without words. I am here with you. You don't have to be on guard. You can just feel. And when a woman is allowed to feel, she feels more than she expects. She feels the warmth of your body, the steadiness of your arms, the quiet confidence of your presence. That confidence does not shout, it whispers, and whispers are what linger. So when she thinks of you, she doesn't think of a moment. She thinks of a sensation, a soft, warm, gently stirring sensation that makes her want to be close again. That is the real secret of a hug that changes attraction. It doesn't take something from her. It gives her something, a feeling. And once a woman feels that kind of closeness, once her body knows what it is like to be held without pressure, to be wanted without being chased, to be close without losing herself. She doesn't forget, she carries that feeling with her. And when she sees you again, that feeling quietly rises. That is where desire lives, not in force, not in technique, but in the warmth that stays behind after you let go. Thanks for watching the video.